All right, so we've created the schedule and we've created 2 tasks associated with it. We'll click OK. Now, after all of that, we're still in this one piece of equipment that we originally started with. We have not yet even finished that. All right. So, we got any questions or comments thus far? All right, so we'll go through these different menus right here. I'll take a look at the specifications. I guess before that, point out that, right, previously this said none. Now we have the pump selected. Specifications again, this is where you can add information. If you find it relevant, I'll just say it's black. I have no idea. Now you can put the dimensions. Again, there's all sorts of custom fields. So if you wanted to put information specific to that equipment, you can add that, change the name of the field, add the information. Warranty, right? You can put if you have a warranty and maybe when it started or when it's going to end, all that information. The purchase, right? So who you got it from. It's going to have a drop down of people that you have previously purchased equipment from. If that company is not in the system, so to speak, you can just add a new one. I'll just put Northwest Pumps. No clue if it's a real company or not. Sounds like one that may be. And you can add the information based upon that company, you know, how to contact them, where they're located, status. You know, this may be something important to know. With our software, if we did not purchase something from somebody within a given year, then they would automatically kind of roll into this default status, or not default, but they would automatically roll into this inactive status where we couldn't purchase anything from them again unless we jump through a lot of these hoops to make it happen. So whether or not this software automatically does it, I'm not entirely sure, but you know, you can, again, add information as you see fit about the companies. Again, you could add the price when you bought it. We'll just say it was $600. You have some custom fields, some more status information down here, the ownership, right? Do you own it? Again, this being fleet software, it may have some stuff that's not normally seen, at least what I'm accustomed to seeing. But do you lease the equipment? Is it rented? The time that you've kind of put it into production. Depreciation, again, I would say most likely this being fleet software, they're talking about vehicles or equipment that over time is going to lose value. For the most part, it wasn't something that we would track at our company. It would just be if this piece of equipment is really expensive and we actually dub it as an asset, those would be the only types of piece of equipment that we would track. And as far as depreciation, I don't know if it was ever done internally. It was just kind of on as needed basis. Images, so we can add a picture. Let's see, where is it at? I've just downloaded some random picture of this pump. This would be a good place to take a picture of the data plate, right? Another way to capture all that information. Another good place to put that information was all those custom fields. Attachments, so I can put things like manuals or Word documents. I did grab a manual. So this one will take us, we'll take PDFs, it'll also take Word docs. As far as other file types, I'm not entirely sure, right? But now if I go into this piece of equipment, I can immediately get into, you know, the manual for this device, whatever it is, right? You could put a document on here that maybe has links to different videos, right? So how-to videos on how to disassemble or to change out a specific part, that sort of thing. Notifications, right? This is where we can add an employee so they can be notified. You know, more than likely this is just for maintenance purposes. So if the equipment's coming due for a particular service, you know, they get an email letting them know that this is happening. Well, let's see, expenses. Again, I would attribute this to more like this being fleet software. Notes, a little notepad. Again, you can just add more details too. The settings, you know, this allow you to modify this menu structure, right? I'll say I don't need to see note or expenses in here. Once you get through all of these steps, all right, then you click save. That'll just put your piece of equipment in there. If you're going to create another one, you would click save plus, right? If you wanted to start the next one. So we'll click save. All right, this just kind of brings us to the summary is just going to provide you some information about, you know, in this case, what's it costing you? This is where you'd see things like the labor hours that get assigned to it, the parts that get assigned to it, the details, right? The stuff that you've entered into it, the tasks that it's been assigned to. Again, these are generic at this point. No real information that's really created. I don't think I can edit from in here. No, you can't. So in order to make changes to these to make them specific to my piece of equipment, we want to go back to the templates. Now I'm in the template and I'm on the two different tasks. We're selected on the electrical connection. If we go to edit it, I now have a couple more tabs here. The instructions tab and the parts tab weren't there before. So I had to get through the process of completing the equipment and okaying all of our schedule and the different tasks. So the parts that are used, all right, so this is, you know, as a particular belt, are there valves, or, you know, special items that you should keep on hand for this piece of equipment, right? You can associate them with this piece of equipment here, right? And this would be associated with this particular task, I guess, not just the equipment itself, but this particular task that you're going to be completing. The instructions. So the reason why out here the schedule template is big and the task by itself is big is so that you can use those tasks for various pieces of equipment. And then once you get into this point where we're going to assign this task to our pump, this is where I can refine exactly how to complete the job, right? Let's see. So check electrical connections. We'll just do something pretty basic here. Obtain safe work permit from operations. Lockout bucket. We'll just say XYZ. So So the bucket is, the energy source for this particular piece of equipment. Verify lockout by trying to start the pump. Never trust what you locked out is actually accurate until you tested it, right? So in this case, I lock out the bucket, then we go over and maybe we press start or run it through whatever sequence is required to try and start it, verify that it's not going to start, make sure that we have the right energy source locked out. Let's see, remove electrical cover on the pump. Verify electrical housing is clean and dry. Verify elect terminations tight. Reinstall electrical cover. Close out, save Fortinet, and return equipment to operations. Right, so whatever the task is that you're doing, right? The idea is that be as specific as possible. We'll see here in a little bit that these are the instructions that you'll actually see on the work order itself. So the more that you can make these relevant to the task, the better it's going to be. And if you were to find that this isn't exactly the right order or how you should do it, then you'll be able to come back and then edit these instructions and change them to better suit what you're doing, right? So now we have these set of instructions for this particular task assigned to the piece of equipment that we've created. And so I'm just going to save it. We can do the same thing. I won't go into near the detail. I'll do this, do that, then you're done. So another set of instructions telling us how to check for external leaks. Maybe this information that says this pump is 6 feet off the ground in the northwest corner of this landing. Look for water flowing here, right? As detailed as you can be. All right. So we've created the piece of equipment, the schedule, a couple of tasks, gave some details to those particular tasks on how to perform them, right? And all that's been assigned to one piece of equipment. All right, we can now see our piece of equipment here. We can sort by, well, let's do it this way. Our locations, right? If I remember correctly, I selected north. Right now we see our piece of equipment that we created. It's in this specific location. You can also adjust these tabs. When you adjust these tabs, you'll be able to filter by some of them by going into these settings, right? So I can display the locations in here, maybe get rid of the meter, that sort of thing. All right, so to this point, what we've done is we've established some locations, a piece of equipment with some tasks. And more than likely, your site is going to have hundreds of pieces of equipment at the least, right? So it's a very time-consuming process, and one that you only want to do one time. So it's important to kind of, again, weigh out what you're going to do before you do it. You don't want to have to come back here and make a lot of edits, right? So define a particular structure for the locations, define the structure for how you're going to create the equipment as far as the unit numbers, in this case, the unique identifiers, and go from there, right? But there's no way around it. This is going to take some time. There may be some out there that you're able to maybe create a spreadsheet and then import that spreadsheet into there, and it may be able to kind of auto-populate it, but still you have to create this spreadsheet. And in this case, you know, we're adding things like pictures and manuals to it. So you're gonna have to get into it to make some changes. Any questions? All right, so let's take a look at some work orders, right? I'm actually just going to talk about them from this equipment screen. Over here in the actions, we can create work orders specifically for our piece of equipment. This one basically has a couple of different options that I kind of find redundant, but you know, maybe there's a valid use for it. If I were to create this repair request, I'd put some information in, and even after creating the repair request, I would still have to create a work order. So in my opinion, it's kind of most important, or be most beneficial, just to go in right away and create a work order. So we are now assigning a work order to this piece of equipment. Right, so you're going to have some sort of work order number that's generated. Again, this would be something that you can manipulate more than likely. Do you want the first work order to start off at 1 and then increment from there? Do you want it to start off at 2,000 and go from there? Kind of however your company wants to do it. What's the priority of this work order? You know, how important is it that this work gets done? You can set that. The day that it's scheduled for, right? So you can change when you want it to be kind of performed, or, you know, the best you can. When do you want it due by, right? Should it be due by tomorrow? This started, I wouldn't worry too much about something like this. Once you actually initiate the work order, most of this information should get captured. The assignee, who are you going to be giving this work to? We'll just give it to Roger Daniels. The miscellaneous details. What type of work is this? Right, this is all things that you could populate. I'm just going to go with preventive. What cost center? Right, this would be, again, which bag of money is it coming from? More than likely, this is going to come from some sort of maintenance budget. The PO number. So based upon the work that you have to do you have to, you know, reorder equipment